One of the hallmarks of freedom, of a free country, is the fact that the government that you are under is as inconsequential to your life as humanly possible. That's one of the biggest factors that we've prided ourselves in America. However, the government has become, over the past few decades, more and more and more intrusive into our everyday life. And now, because of COVID and because of this miracle vaccine that they've been pushing, they want to get even more involved in your life by coming to your door, knocking on it, and making you answer as to whether or not you have had the vaccine. They say that this is optional, but they don't really go too far into what happens if you say you don't have the vaccine or you don't even answer at all. Right now, from the Heartland Institute up at redstate.com, we have this article that talks exactly about this issue. Knock, knock, show me your vaccine papers. I'm going to go ahead and read this out to you, and then I kind of want to make a few comments. In Nazi Germany, the people lived in a constant state of fear that the authorities would knock on their door and demand that they show their papers. If anyone refused this request, he or she would likely face dire consequences. In present-day America, we the people might be hearing knocks on our door soon with a government official demanding that we show our vaccine papers. If we refuse, who knows what the consequences could be in store. This might seem far-fetched, were it not for a recent pronouncement by President Joe Biden that his administration is working on a plan to go door-to-door checking on America's vaccine status. In the words of President Biden, now we need to go to community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and oftentimes door-to-door, literally knocking on doors, to get help to the remaining people protected from the virus. Right off the bat, I have a huge problem with that. There are people out there who don't want the virus, period, and they have many different reasons. It could be that it's a medical reason. They don't trust that their health is good enough for the vaccine. They think that they might have some underlying problems, or that they've heard that the vaccine does have issues for various types of people, and they just don't want it. Some people might be trying to have a baby, and they've learned that the vaccine can, hurt people who are pregnant. There's plenty of reasons why someone wouldn't want the vaccine. Some people just don't trust it, and that's perfectly okay too, to be honest with you, because if you think about it, this vaccine just rolled out, and vaccines aren't just like an Advil. You don't just pop one and get better. It is something that changes stuff within you so that you will be immune from a certain type of virus. It's not just a medication that you can fire and forget. It's not like that at all. So people are going to be a lot more wary about what they want to put in their bodies. That's perfectly fine too. So it seems weird to me that they have this idea that they need to get help to the remaining people. I don't like it when the government says I'm here to help. I don't trust a government that says it's here to help, ever. Help very rarely ever looks like help. It looks a lot like force. And that's what scares me here and what scares a lot of different people. But let's continue. Biden's comments, far from off the cuff, have been supported by several administration officials. For example, Jen Psaki, Biden's White House press secretary, recently doubled down on this insane idea, saying the administration would soon launch a targeted community-by-community, door-to-door outreach to get remaining Americans vaccinated by ensuring they have the information that they need on how both safe and accessible the vaccine is. So they want to push the vaccine on people who haven't gotten it yet. They want to assure people that it's safe, that it's good. They want to give you information. I don't think that that's all they want to do. But let's continue. And even after the administration received much warranted pushback about the door-to-door campaign to check on America's vaccination status, Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra chimed in with a stunning statement while on CNN. Perhaps we should point out that the federal government has spent trillions of dollars to try to keep Americans alive during the pandemic. He continued, so it's absolutely the government's business. There it is right there. There it is. They've spent a lot of money trying to push these vaccines. So whether or not you have one, it is their business. Why would it be their business? Why? That's not encouraging to any kind of friendly style of government. Again, a government that is here to help is not a government that's trying to help. It's trying to use force about something. It is the taxpayer's business if we have to continue to spend money to try to keep people from contracting COVID and helping reopen the economy. So it is our business to try to make sure Americans can prosper. Americans can freely associate, and a knocking on a door has never been against the law. You don't have to answer, but we hope you do. When asked if he supports the federal government's efforts to begin a vaccination verification program, Becerra responded that he is open to the idea. He added, "We're going to go where you are so you can get vaccinated, and we'll do everything we can." It just gets worse and worse. Every time he opens his mouth, every new question that he answers, it just gets worse. He's open to effectively what is considered a registration. Have you been registered that you've gotten the virus? If you're not registered, why not? We're coming to your door to talk to you about it. Do you see how this continues just to get more and more despotic? He then dropped this ominous warning. We want to give people the sense that they have the freedom to choose. The sense. They want to give us the sense that we have the freedom to choose. We do have the freedom to choose. We don't need to just think that we do. We do. But we hope that they choose to live, and we're going to make it possible for them to have a good life, and by the way, protect their family and loved ones at the same time. That's not their call. They don't make it possible for us. We make it possible for us. That's the point of America. The government does not build for us. We build, sometimes in spite of government. We hope people make the right choices. We want them to have the right information, but we are America. I hate that but. Immediately the but comes in. We try to give people as much freedom and choice as possible. But clearly, when over 600,000 Americans have died, the best choice is to get vaccinated. We try to give as much freedom of choice as possible. You don't try, government, to give people as much freedom as possible. The freedom is ours already. It belongs to us. It's a God-given right. We decide how free we are and how free we're not. And this is, by the way, just circles back, folks. Remember that these are elected officials, and these elected officials put these people in charge. We can take them out. Every election season is a choice. We can take them out or leave them in. And this is one of those times we're approaching it very soon, the midterm elections. We're approaching them very soon. And when we get to this point, we need to remember that these Democrats are very, very, very likely to only buckle down on their authoritarianism, on their draconianism, on this door-to-door nonsense to make sure that you're vaccinated and to give you the sense that you have freedom. If we reelect them, we need to make sure that these people do not win in the midterms. But this stuff makes me mad. But what does Becerra mean exactly when he says Americans should have a sense that they have the freedom to choose whether or not to take the vaccine? As Americans, we have the absolute freedom to choose whether or not we take the vaccine. Exactly. Furthermore, since when does the federal government determine the best choice for we the people? Since never. And that is absolutely true. It is not the government's decision on what we think is best for us. We consider what is best for us. A government that wants to consider what is best for you does not have your best interests in mind. It has its best interests in mind. It wants to control. It wants to make sure that you fall in for its benefit, not yours. Its benefit. Because if a government thinks that everything can be solved with a one-size-fits-all solution, then it's not really considering humanity. It's not really considering the individual. It's considering you as a number. And that number has to add up. And if it doesn't add up, it's a problem. And we've seen what happens when governments consider people problems in the past, both inside this country and definitely outside of it. While millions of Americans have voluntarily chosen to receive the vaccine, the federal government, or any government for that matter, has no business knocking on citizens' doors to check their vaccine status. Absolutely true. All Americans ought to be outraged at the very thought that President Biden and his administration officials are even considering such a blatantly un-American idea. This is not one of the things we should just roll our eyes at and succumb to. This is something of utmost importance for the future of our freedom. It would not only be sad if American people caved and willingly opened the doors to federal government flunkies who determined to see their vaccine papers, it would also be a pivot point in our nation for the worst. If we allow this Pandora's box to be open, don't be surprised if and when the federal government demands that unvaccinated Americans wear a patch of shame signifying their unvaccinated status, sort of like how Nazis forced Jews to wear yellow stars of David. Here's the thing. I'm not sure that they would go that far, but I will say this. I think that if it does get to a point, your name will go on a list, and you might be denied certain things. The government may withhold things from you until you get vaccinated. I hate to say that this is the reality that we live in, that this is the America that we live in, but we have a Democrat Party that is more authoritarian than it has ever been, more extremist than it ever was. If we're going to look at the Democrat Party as it is, almost everything that we feared from these books that we used to read about communism, fictional stories like Orwell, Huxley, we have to consider it all on the table. This is an extremist group now. They are so extremist that they're willing to send people to your door to talk to you about the vaccine. And by the comments made by some of these unelected officials, it's very clear that they're not just coming there to be friendly, to just give you information. They're there to convince you. They're there to make you feel isolated. They're there to make you feel like you're doing something wrong and that if you don't fix it, then something might happen. It's very mafioso. But this is, as I said, the today's Democrat Party. Folks, if a government official does come to your door, be polite. You don't have to be rude. Some of these people are just doing their job. But if they get rude, feel free to tell them to, not so politely, to go away. But be sure to be inform them. I'm not taking this vaccine. I don't want your information. I'm good. Go away. And shut the door on them. Even if you have had the vaccine, say that. Say that I don't need information. Go away. You can be polite about it, but make sure that they understand that this is not going to go well. It's not this. You're not going to be friendly about it. You can be polite and firm, but you don't have to be friendly. And I recommend that we all do that, because the government needs to understand that it's not in charge, that it has no reason to send people door to door to door to door to door to talk about your Lord and Savior, the vaccine. That's not how America works. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you're made aware when we upload new content. See you in the next video.